Mamrek TV breaking news.
Secret Service, nearly $100 billion stolen in pandemic relief funds. Nearly $100 billion at minimum has been stolen from COVID-19 relief programs set up to help businesses and people who lost their jobs due to the pandemic, the U.S. Secret Service said. The estimate is based on Secret Service cases and data from the Labor Department and the Small Business Administration, said Roy Dotson, the agency's National Pandemic Fraud Recovery Coordinator, in an interview. The Secret Service didn't include COVID-19 fraud cases prosecuted by the Justice Department. While roughly 3% of the $3.4 trillion dispersed, the amount stolen from pandemic benefits programs shows the sheer size of the pot is enticing to the criminals, Dotson said. Most of that figure comes from unemployment fraud. The Labor Department reported about $87 billion in unemployment benefits could have been paid improperly, with a significant portion attributable to fraud. The Secret Service said it has seized more than $1.2 billion while investigating unemployment insurance and loan fraud and has returned more than $2.3 billion of fraudulently obtained funds by working with financial partners and states to reverse transactions. The Secret Service says it has more than 900 active criminal investigations into pandemic fraud, with cases in every state, and 100 people have been arrested so far. The Justice Department said last week that its fraud section had prosecuted over 150 defendants in more than 95 criminal cases and had seized over $75 million in cash proceeds derived from fraudulently obtained Paycheck Protection Program funds, as well as numerous real estate properties and luxury items purchased with the proceeds. One of the best-known programs created through the March 2020 CARES Act, PPP, offered low-interest, forgivable loans to small businesses struggling to meet payroll and other expenses during pandemic-related shutdowns. Law enforcement early in the pandemic focused on fraud related to personal protective equipment, the Secret Service said. Authorities have now prioritized the exploitation of pandemic-related relief because the federal funding through the CARES Act attracted the attention of individuals and organized criminal networks worldwide. Can we stop fraud? Will we? No, but I think we can definitely prosecute those that need to be prosecuted, and we can do our best to recover as much fraudulent pandemic funds that we can, said Dotson, who is the Secret Service's assistant special agent in charge of the agency's field office in Jacksonville, Florida. As reported, criminals have stolen close to $100 billion in pandemic relief funds, the U.S. Secret Service said. The stolen funds were diverted by fraudsters from the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, and another program. Recovered funds include more than $400 million from PayPal and Green Dot Corporation. The government has shelled out about $3.5 trillion in CV relief money since early 2020, when the pandemic began. I've been in law enforcement for over 29 years and worked some complex fraud investigations for 20-plus years, and I've never seen something at this scale, said Assistant Special Agent in Charge Roy Dotson, who was named to the new role at the agency. Dotson, in an interview with News, said the ease of obtaining the funds has made it easier for criminals. There's no doubt that the programs were easily accessible online. And so, with that, comes the opportunity for bad actors to get into that mix, he said. It was necessary to try to get these funds out to people that were truly hurting, and no fault of anybody. The Secret Service currently has more than 900 active investigations related to pandemic fraud, Dotson said. It's a wide range because the pot was so big, Dotson said. You not only have your typical transnational organized groups and domestic organized groups, criminal groups, but you have individuals that decided to take advantage of that. So, there's many different patterns and investigative intelligence that we developed that I can't really go into. But we've mapped out kind of some of the different characteristics of different groups. In his new role, Dotson, who is based in the Jacksonville field office, is also overseeing investigations related to cryptocurrency fraud. In those cases, criminals typically persuade victims to transfer funds into crypto wallets, which are used for illegal schemes, or open bank accounts, which are used to launder money. I would say the primary difficulty is the sheer scope of the amount of fraudulent loans, or unemployment insurance benefits ever distributed, he said. And the number of individuals that receive those, whether they were a money mule or the actual recipient, is just enormous. Among the recovered funds were hundreds of millions sent to Green Dot and PayPal, according to a Secret Service spokesperson. After the Secret Service alerted the private sector early on about the emerging fraud, numerous financial institutions proactively identified, investigated, and safeguarded against suspected fraudulent pandemic relief funds, the spokesperson said. These private institutions then reached out to the Secret Service for further assistance. In coordination with companies like Green Dot Corporation and PayPal, the Secret Service was able to seize over $400 million in fraudulent funds. A Green Dot spokesperson said the company does proactively bring fraud cases to the attention of the Secret Service as well as other government agencies and industry peers, and partners with them to address, mitigate, and resolve them. Fraud prevention is paramount, and we work around the clock and invest heavily to identify, block, and address fraudulent activity as part of our commitment to protecting our customers. A PayPal spokesperson said the company takes every instance of potential fraud very seriously, and we proactively work with law enforcement agencies and industry partners, as well as use our own sophisticated systems to detect fraud and keep our customers and their payments safe. The government quickly rolled out the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program last year to help small businesses. Both programs have been plagued with problems. A report from a Labor Department Inspector General blamed inadequate controls for billions of dollars in potential fraud. The fast rollout of the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program made it easy prey for fraudsters. The Labor Department's Office of Inspector General, in a report released in March, said that at least $89 billion of the estimated $896 billion in unemployment program funds could be paid improperly, with a significant portion attributable to fraud. CNBC confirmed earlier this year that tech-savvy fraudsters opened accounts with at least 4 online investment programs, according to law enforcement officials. The digital platforms, investigators said, are easy to dump the money into by setting up accounts with stolen identities. More than $100 million in fraudulent funds passed through investment accounts since Congress passed the CARES Act last March, according to authorities.
MAMREC TV breaking news.